Feminism, at its core, is a movement for social, political, and economic equality for women. It has historically challenged the power structures that subordinate women, aiming to transform society into one where gender-based oppression no longer exists. However, in recent years, there has been a shift in how feminist language and concepts are used. Patriarchal systems, rather than being dismantled, have found ways to adopt and distort feminist terms like empowerment, integrating them into existing power structures without challenging the status quo. This essay explores how the co-option of feminist language by patriarchal forces, particularly through commercialization, dilutes the radical aims of feminism and undermines authentic social change. One of the most visible examples of how feminist language has been co-opted is the rise of empowerment as a marketing tool. Originally, empowerment was about providing marginalized groups with the tools, opportunities, and resources they need to achieve self-determination and equality. It was a grassroots concept aimed at transforming power dynamics and allowing individuals, especially women, to gain control over their own lives. However, in the hands of corporations and popular media, empowerment has been transformed into a buzzword that often focuses on individual success rather than systemic change. Brands now market products like cosmetics, clothing, and even luxury cars as tools of empowerment, suggesting that a woman can feel powerful simply by purchasing a particular lipstick or handbag. According to a study by the Journal of Marketing Research, brands that adopt social justice messaging can see short-term boosts in consumer engagement, but many consumers remain skeptical about the authenticity of such efforts. A survey by Edelman in 2021 found that 56% of people believe that brands that take a stand on social issues are doing so to generate profit rather than to support change. For example, advertisements for beauty brands often feature slogans like, "Be your own boss," or "Unleash your power," framing self-confidence as a product of consumer choice rather than social liberation. This version of empowerment fits neatly within capitalist frameworks, emphasizing personal expression while ignoring structural inequalities. It encourages women to focus on self-esteem and self-care while leaving patriarchal systems intact. As a result, the radical potential of empowerment as a collective struggle against oppression is lost, replaced by a shallow version that centers on consumerism. The co-option of feminist language goes beyond advertising. It extends into how corporations engage with social issues. In the era of woke capitalism, companies have increasingly aligned themselves with social movements, presenting themselves as allies of feminist causes. However, this alignment is often performative, prioritizing profit over genuine commitment to equality. Many corporations that market themselves as supporters of gender equality continue to uphold practices that exploit women, such as paying lower wages to female workers, neglecting to provide adequate parental leave, or maintaining unsafe working conditions in factories overseas. A notable example is the use of the Me Too movement by brands to appear aligned with gender equality. Companies like Uber, which faced internal scandals around sexual harassment, have used feminist language in their advertising campaigns, despite ongoing struggles to create safe working environments for women within their own ranks. Such actions reveal the gap between adopting feminist language for image building and committing to the structural changes necessary for true empowerment. This dynamic is especially clear during International Women's Day or Women's History Month, when companies roll out advertisements celebrating women's achievements while simultaneously failing to address gender disparities within their own organizations. Such gestures provide positive publicity without requiring any substantial changes, turning feminism into a marketable trend rather than a meaningful movement. The rise of the girl boss archetype is another way in which feminist language has been repurposed to fit within patriarchal structures. The term, popularized by figures like Sophia Amoruso, founder of Nasty Gal, emphasizes women's ability to succeed within existing power structures, particularly in the world of business. It focuses on the idea that women can achieve power and status through hard work and entrepreneurship, often celebrating female CEOs and corporate leaders as symbols of progress. While the girl boss narrative has been embraced by many as a symbol of female empowerment, it comes with significant limitations. It emphasizes individual success rather than collective struggle, suggesting that the path to equality is through becoming part of the system rather than changing it. This messaging fails to account for the additional hurdles faced by women of color and women with disabilities, whose experiences are often absent from mainstream empowerment narratives. As a result, the girl boss framework offers a narrow vision of success, leaving many women behind. By focusing on individual ambition, the girl boss ethos sidesteps issues like unequal pay, workplace discrimination, and the double burden of professional and domestic responsibilities that many women face. It reinforces a neoliberal version of feminism that values competition over solidarity and encourages women to emulate the traits of male CEOs rather than envisioning new, more equitable ways of organizing workplaces and communities. The co-option of feminist language by patriarchal systems has profound implications for the movement's ability to achieve genuine social change. When feminist concepts like empowerment are stripped of their political context and turned into marketing tools, the focus shifts from dismantling systems of oppression to achieving superficial victories. This shift not only weakens the transformative potential of feminism, but also creates a sense of complacency, where it appears as though progress is being made because feminist language is visible, even though systemic issues remain unaddressed. Moreover, this co-option can create a false sense of progress. For instance, the widespread visibility of feminist slogans and messages might suggest that gender equality is no longer an urgent issue, even as gender-based violence, wage gaps, and barriers to reproductive rights continue to affect millions of women globally. The commercialization of feminism can give the illusion that society is advancing toward equality when, in reality, many of the core struggles remain the same. This co-option also affects how feminism is perceived by the broader public. When feminist concepts are diluted and repackaged to fit within patriarchal frameworks, they can lose their radical edge and become more palatable to those in power. This makes it easier for patriarchal systems to absorb and neutralize the energy of feminist movements, turning a challenge to power into a branding exercise. The focus shifts from challenging inequality to celebrating feel-good messages that do not threaten existing power structures. To counter the co-option of feminist language, it is crucial to reclaim its original meanings and resist attempts to depoliticize the movement. This means challenging the notion that empowerment can be achieved through consumer choices or that progress is defined by the number of women in corporate boardrooms. True empowerment involves addressing the systemic barriers that limit women's potential, from economic inequality to the social norms that devalue their contributions. Grassroots feminist movements continue to play a vital role in pushing back against the commercialization of feminism. These movements emphasize the importance of collective action, advocating for policies that address the root causes of inequality rather than offering superficial solutions. Campaigns focused on wage equality, reproductive rights, and protections against gender-based violence remind us that feminism is not a brand, but a struggle for justice. By prioritizing structural change over individual success, these movements seek to reclaim the radical potential of feminism, ensuring that it remains a force for true social transformation. They challenge the notion that feminism can be compatible with systems that exploit and oppress, calling for a vision of equality that goes beyond market-friendly slogans and token gestures. The co-option of feminist language by patriarchal systems represents a significant challenge to the movement's goals. By turning concepts like empowerment into tools of commercialization, these systems dilute the radical aims of feminism and make it easier for inequality to persist. Yet, the potential for reclaiming this language remains. By insisting on a feminism that is rooted in collective struggle and systemic change, we can ensure that the movement remains true to its roots and continues to challenge the power structures that seek to contain it. True empowerment is not something that can be bought or branded. It is the result of collective effort to reshape society in the pursuit of justice and equality.